Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Anime Sundays, the show where we talk about anime on Sundays. We have your boy Showing a Showdown here.
Yo, thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. And today we will be fixing that One Piece's talks, top 20 strongest One Piece characters alive today. All right. So, Rob, we were both on this stream, man, right?
Yep.
It was hectic. We had a lot of goats on there. Shout out everybody that was involved. Fexer, Life with Anime, all y'all boys. Love y'all boys. But we all know that your boy had to leave a little early. I wish I could be as dedicated as some of these boys, but I had to get out of there early. So I feel like it's only right that I come back, give my 2 cents on the final drawing of the top 20 characters alive. I say we start off, with what characters need to go and what characters need to be on this list. Because even as we're looking at it now, it is definitely quite a list.
As I've always said, and I think I said it on stream as well, don't attach my name to this. AI was definitely involved. There's certain characters that are on this list that do not deserve to be anywhere close to this. But it happened. This is what we're doing today.
Okay. Well, Rob, beautifully said. So what do you think? Let's start with the characters that need to go. Who is the first character that's got to get out of here, man?
Zoro. Send Zoro home. Zoro has no business being in the top 20 alive in One Piece right now. Zoro fans are just, I get it. We love Zoro. Everyone thinks he's a cool character. I understand it. But there clearly is a hierarchy to this. There clearly are levels to this. And we still need to see some more improvement in Zoro before we start throwing him in the top 20. Now, if you want to say top 30, I can entertain those conversations. Top 20 is where it gets shaky for me because clearly for me, I mean, there's people out there that think Zoro is stronger than Gorosei members. I have Zoro above. Listen, let me relax. I think Zoro is strong. Obviously, we got to see the Conqueror's Haki, but he wasn't able to drop Kaido to his knees. He did pack up Rob Lucci, which is a great feat. That's nice to have. Top 20 is reserved for top 20. Like, exactly. I don't think I think there are different levels to this, boxing Yonko and things of that nature. So for me, I would take Zoro out personally, and I would actually, I'm gonna let you handle it.
Yeah, Rob, I mean, I agree, man. Of course, I wasn't there to see the banter. I'm sure it was a lot of Joe, maybe Fexer. Maybe Fexer had a lot to say. Shout out those boys. But yeah, man, what my problem is, keeping Zoro on this list raises a lot of questions of what are we saying about all the other characters that are really neck and neck with him, right? Yamato, Law, Sabo. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we saying about all these other characters who we kind of put at a different tier lower than the ones we have on this list if we just put Zoro on here, right? So I definitely think Zoro gotta go. Yeah, let's get him out of here. Sorry, Zoro fans. Justice will be done today. No, I guess I'll give you my next pick to believe to go. I think I'm gonna take, well, here are my two options that I would do. I would either take Ben out of here or I would take Sengoku. Now, the reason I would take Ben or Sengoku, right, is because I'm sure the argument on stream was, Sengoku has to be relative to Garp based on the stories, right?
Yes.
But I'm also kind of like, we did kind of see Sengoku do enough, I feel like, to be like, we can't fully assume that he's that powerful anymore. I feel like Garp is a certain case because of his old age. He stayed that sharp, but I don't know if we can say Sengoku is stronger than a Blackbeard. You know what I mean? Right now, or like even Luke.
Well, the clip you're referring to in Marine Ford was him literally holding down the Blackbeard pirates. Like he pushed back Blackbeard. So I do think that there may be more in the tank for Sengoku, at least on the Haki perspective. And that's the thing that I feel like we're missing. Like, we already know Garp's Haki is through the roof, right? We respect Garp so much because his Haki is incredible. Sengoku, we've really only seen his double fruit, but we know he is a Conqueror's Haki user. That's narratively proven. So that's why I feel like he's a character that has to stay on my end. Maybe we could re-rank him, but I think he still should be in the top 20 unless something else comes up. Ben Beckman is a character where I'm willing to remove him. I personally think Ben Beckman is incredibly powerful. If we look at what it says in, I believe, Shanks' SBS or Viva card or something like that, it does state that Shanks is a 1A and Ben Beckman is a 1B. Shanks is the sun, Ben Beckman is the moon. Like, that's how close he is to Shanks in terms of fighting capabilities, combat, and all of these things. But the only reason why I would be willing to remove him is because a lot of the feats that we would hype him up for, basically, you know, scaring Kizaru and those things, even though it was only momentarily, those are characteristics or those are traits that I see in other characters that I would question them being here, whether it's, you know, Yamato or something like that. And the only reason why I would ever question those characters being in this scenario is the fact that we do not have all the Gorosei members here. So for me, personally, I would remove characters that... How many Gorosei members do we have? We have Warcree, we have Saint Ethan, and we have Saint Mars. I still think that Saint Saturn and Saint Jupiter need to be here. Right. So whether that means we remove Ben Beckman and Blackbeard or not...
Listen, I mean, everything you said is very valid. I also think that for this list, they shouldn't have had the Gorosei as 5 individual slots. I felt like it should have been 1 slot, and then we could just discuss maybe amongst the Gorosei who is the strongest. But what do you think we should do, Rob? Should we do it as 1 slot, or should we take 2 more people out and make sure all the Gorosei are on this list?
I think it makes sense for the Gorosei to be split because not all of them are, I think, of equal strength. Right. I think there's a baseline, but I do think that based on what we've seen so far in Egghead, it does look like Warcree and Saint Ethan are the top 2 out of the Gorosei. They look like, I said it before, but the fact that Saint Ethan cut through the entire Labo phase, that's a feat that I feel like proves that he has crazy AP. Obviously, he can regenerate. All of them can regenerate. And I have to reiterate this point that I feel like people gloss over, is that people say the Gorosei are gimmicks and they look weak, but the fact that it took Joy Boy's hockey to stop them. Listen, they do not make it to Elbaf if it's not for Joy Boy. You got to think about that. And nobody is understanding this, that if Joy Boy's hockey didn't pop out, they would not be in Elbaf. The Thousand Sunday would have been capsized in the water. Like, I don't understand how people can see that feat and still say, all right, you know what, Zoro can max out a Gorosei member. Like, what?
Yeah, Rob, I mean, like I said, I agree. I'm totally with that. I say we definitely need to make room for the other 2 members. So I say for sure Ben Beckman gotta go, and definitely Blackbeard gotta go.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I could argue that especially some of these admirals are definitely not as strong as a Gorosei member, but do they still deserve to be in top 20? I believe so. So maybe we'll just get to that part of the ranking when we get to reorganize. Let's get to adding the members now, because we took off, what, 3 members?
Yes.
So we'll add the 2 Gorosei, and now the hard part is deciding who is the member that deserves to be on here with these 20 characters, or do we need to replace somebody else? I know who your vote is.
Yeah. Well, we technically can keep Blackbeard now if because we got rid of Zoro and Ben Beckman.
Well, let's talk about it, bro. Do we want Blackbeard in here over some of the other people we talked about? Sabo, Yamato, what are we saying?
This is a great conversation to have, right? I think Blackbeard is in a situation where his hockey is questionable right now. Now, this is not a conversation about where Blackbeard is going to end up end of series. We are talking about his current position alive in the story. When you see feats like S-Hawk literally having Blackbeard on the ropes, he doesn't want to fight old Rayleigh. And yes, Rayleigh said he couldn't beat Blackbeard, but Blackbeard also was not trying to fight Rayleigh. There's 2 sides to that coin. The Blackbeard fans only remember him Rayleigh being scared. They don't remember Blackbeard being scared.
Right, exactly.
Right. When we look at all of those things and the fact that Law, literally, because it was Law in a bag of chips. You can say John Bart did a little something, and yes, he did. But for the most part, Law's crew was not hanging with Blackbeard's crew. And the fact that Law was able to hang for that long against, you know, being completely outclassed in terms of crew battles, I think Blackbeard right now is sitting in that questionable spot because he's really relying more so on his Devil Fruit than his hockey. And Law's hockey is not the greatest in the series. He's basically just learning how to really use it in battle, and that allowed him to survive. And then when you look at Sabo, This is something I've always said, because a lot of people, when they sleep on Sabo, they don't remember. When Sabo had to sub in for Luffy in Dressrosa, there was no slippage in strength. Nobody noticed any drop in strength at all. Nobody said, oh, the Haki is weaker, it's not the same. He literally was Luffy level in Dressrosa. Oda came out in a Q&A and said, hey guys, by the way, Sabo has been training every single day. The Flame Emperor title is not just for show. He can actually box. He can actually get down. When Sabo was in the room with the Gorosei, they were trying to kill him. Nobody was in the room saying, you know what, let's hold back because it's just Sabo.
Exactly.
Nobody said that. When you look at all of those things, I don't know how anybody watching or reading One Piece can see those things happen on screen and still say Sabo is not strong. To me, it blows my mind. Oda's literally trying to tell you he's strong.
So I'm not mad at you, bro. It's sounding like that we're choosing between Blackbeard, Yamato, and Sabo. I'm cool with keeping Blackbeard.
Honestly, for me, I think that Yamato is a character that's proven to have conquerors. Sabo is not confirmed. Now, I'm a person that I believe that Sabo is stronger than Yamato, but I'm okay with people saying Yamato is stronger, or us putting Yamato there instead of Sabo because Yamato has conquered. I'm okay with that. So I'm okay with people saying that. I do think though that Sabo is stronger than both of them. I think that the feats that we've seen from Sabo prove that. Sabo literally had an egghead happen to him plus Eam by himself and survived. Like, I think there's many characters that would die that are not top. Like, you have to be top 20 to survive that situation, hands down. Like,
so if you ask my pick, I do believe Sabo as well. And I would, even if I was in the stream, I would have had votes for Sabo in here as above a Zoro and even above a Blackbeard.
So I think Sabo should definitely be here.
I say add Sabo, and then now we can really re-rank anybody that we see.
Yeah, I'm with that.
All right, cool. So we got our boy back on here respectfully.
Yep.
Sorry that One Piece talk. Sorry, Fexer, all those boys that still have Sabo in the ringer. I still believe bro deserves a spot. He's definitely proven himself. All right, Rob. So now we have to accurately rank these characters that's here. First of all, I guess it's best to say, how are we doing the Gorosei, right? Are we gonna put them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or are we going to still say there's maybe some admirals that can hang with the lower level ones, etc.?
And this is the tough part, right? Because I think there are Gorosei members not necessarily can overpower everybody here, but it's a thing where it's right now it's looking like Imu might be the one that has to be defeated for all of them to get wiped. It looks like that's the thing, you know, like they're kind of puppets and Imu is the headmaster. Now, what's going to be interesting and what's going to confirm this for us is Garling. And as you can see here, everybody on stream had Garling way up in the sky.
Right.
I think it does make sense narratively if we say that Garling was on God Valley and now Garling may be getting an Emu power boost or not. Like I said, we have to see what's going on. Garling's going to kind of control that conversation. But for the Gorosei, I think if we say that there's a character that can overpower them, I think it's safe to say we can put them over them.
Right.
But they may not necessarily die, right? They may just regenerate over and over. Now in Egghead, there are characters in this, like I said, there are characters that damaged a Gorosei member. I'm not talking about damage, I'm talking about overpowering them.
And I was gonna even say, even if you want to look at it as like overpowering, or do we think the Gorosei are necessarily like defeating this member in a reasonable time span, right? Because for example, Kizaru, Kuzan can overpower Gorosei, but does that mean in like a whole day's or 2 days time they're gonna kill Kizaru? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I feel like that's also kind of like saying the same thing. So I agree. If the character can maybe overpower a Gorosei or at least survive, so I think we'll just do them one by one and see where they belong in this 1 through 5, 6 through 10, etc. I say to be safe, why don't we get some before we even get to the Gorosei, why don't we just get some of the cats we know who should be 1 through 5? So let's say we'll put Eam back up there.
Right, Eam's number 1. Agree. We agree on that.
I still agree with Shanks is number 2.
Okay, I'm cool with this. Granted, I think, you know, God's Knights and certain other characters that have to be introduced may shake things up.
Absolutely.
But I am cool with this, having Shanks right there. I think he's a modern day Roger.
Now, number 3 here.
Yes.
Are we gonna put a Gorosei member, or do we still have room for other characters? You know, it's hard for me when it comes to this number 3 spot, because I'll just tell you right now, it's always definitely come between Kaido and Dragon for me. Of course, we have Kaido on this list because we don't know if he's technically dead, and when we've done other top alive, we've just excluded Kaido, so it's made the decision easier. But for me, I do believe, feats wise, of course, we know Kaido has it, but we know that Dragon is not shy of being super powerful as well. So what do you think, Rob?
If I remember correctly what was said on stream, I think a lot of people were saying that Kaido is the strongest stats wise. When you look at durability, AP, all of these other stats, Kaido is off the charts. And I think personally that Dragon is a character that's going to be one of the strongest in the series. I think when we look at what the Revolutionary Army is trying to accomplish, when we see how powerful Sabo is, I think that we have to look out for what Dragon's going to do. And the only reason why I say this is because Dragon is not worried about the Marines or the Admirals. He said, yo, my focus is on the Holy Knights that are sitting there in the Holy Land. I'm worried about them. I think we have bigger fish to fry when it comes to the world government. And I do think that Dragon is sitting amongst one of the best hockey users in the series, considering his position in the series as the leader of the Revolutionary Army, as being the world's most wanted man. So I think Dragon is incredibly powerful. I personally would put Dragon over Kaido narratively. I would put Dragon over Kaido narratively.
I feel like I would also, especially narratively wise, it would make sense that Dragon would be stronger than Luffy, and it would make sense that, you know, it would make sense that he was somewhat even closer to a Garp level character. And so I feel like he should also be third as well.
Right.
So I'll put Dragon at third too. Now we have these other 2 spots here. Do we put a Gorosei member yet, or do we say Kaido still has a place to hang with him? I still vote that I think Kaido can, because what we saw Luffy doing, so that's my vote.
Here's the thing, and this is where it's tough for me, right? I think AP, it's Kaido. But when you're talking about defensively, I think it leans more towards War Query. And the reason why is we got to see Luffy use Red Rock on both characters. When it was used against Kaido, Kaido felt it. It hurt. He felt the hockey. It is what it is. War Query, it literally had no effect. The same exact attack had no effect. Red Rock is
and
a
it was
hockey
in Gear
attack.
5, wasn't it?
I believe so.
I believe he was in Gear 5, I feel like, when he did it.
So when you're talking about offensively again, I do think Kaido has showcased a little bit better offense. However, I will say that War Query's Conqueror's Hockey Roar was ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
But would you also agree that Thunder Bakuga is a little stronger than a Red Rock? Because in my opinion, to say that Kaido doesn't have enough offense to maybe try something else with War Query. Now again, of course, War Query was unfazed. But I feel like, you know, when we see Kaido, especially when we see Kaido's final move against Bajrangan, I still think he does have enough offensive power to push bro back, keep him down for a second at the bare minimum, even though we're kind of still speculating what all War Query can tank. So that's why I still would probably have Kaido in that 4th spot.
Okay. I could take Kaido being number 4.
Gotcha. Okay. And now we talk about 5 here.
Yes.
We would probably put a Gorosei member here, but is it War Query?
Yes.
Do we say okay?
Undoubtedly.
Even though offensively you may not think.
Actually, at this point, Garling is there, and I know on the stream a lot of people had Garling up in the sky, and he technically now is a new Gorosei member. So we have 6 elders here. We could really put Garling here narratively. I just think on-screen feats, I would have War Query.
Because I would even say, if you want to talk about if all the Gorosei are now kind of have the same similar hacks, now say we give Garland the same regenerative abilities because he's under the Gorosei rank and Emo gave them to him, then you would almost say that, like, eventually War Query, if he doesn't have enough offensive power to handle what we've seen Ethan do or Garland, what we speculate Garland to be able to do since he's been in God Valley battles, things of that nature, then yeah, I would have Garland above War Query as well. So I'm cool with Garland. I'm cool with Garland here.
Okay.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with him being 5.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So now to start off 6, I think we've all said what we need to say. War Query definitely got to be there.
Yes.
It's
War
really
Grade
not
6.
much more explanation we need.
Yeah.
Are we saying Saint Ethan is right there?
I would now put Mihawk here. And the reason why is I don't want to discount how powerful the Black Blade is. I already know there's Mihawk fans watching this video right now that are fuming that Mihawk is not above Shanks or in the top 5. I think Mihawk is extremely powerful. I think he does have, pretty much, you could argue he has the greatest reroll in the series, considering the things that we've been seeing feats-wise, at least narratively speaking, right? Because people call him the world's strongest swordsman. It's stated that the way of the sword and swordsmanship is a skill thing. And then there's the option of having stronger haki. And the issue that I have with the Mihawk fandom, just in general, this is the one issue that Nuance is ignored for. And I feel like we can't say that Mihawk is the greatest of all time. He's top 1. He's better than Roger, Rox, everybody that touched a sword in their life. Emu literally has a sword in the room. If Emu picks up that sword, Mihawk is better than him. And then when somebody like Vista is brought up, it's crickets. I've said this before and I'll say it again. There have been so many times I've looked through all of these lists that the Mihawk fans have Mihawk top 1. And when you look for Vista, you cannot find him. And the reason why is that Vista's swordsmanship rivals Mihawk. Vista was literally right there narratively. This is stated by Oda. Now, I've seen all the dancing around. I've seen, oh, but he's just talking about the clash and da-da-da. No, take Oda's word for word if you're going to go down that route and ignore Nuance. The thing is Mihawk fans take everything that's said in the series, all the titles and everything, word for word until it comes to Flower Blade Vista. Once Vista's brought up, all of a sudden, Mihawk fans now have Nuance. Now it's, oh, well, obviously we know that's not really what it meant. Oh, wait a minute. But when Shanks fans, Roger fans, Rox fans, anybody else that's a fan of anybody that's in the series that holds a sword besides Mihawk says that there's Nuance in the series, you lose your mind. But when Vista is brought up, you completely start sounding like a Shanks fan, but for Vista. And that's why I have a huge issue with this. If we're going to use Mihawk fan logic, we should take characters out of here and bring Vista up. Because now we are taking every statement word for word, literally what it means. Right. Vista should be top 20. But I was even looking through Twitter today. Mihawk fans have Mihawk top 1, and there's never Vista in sight. And it's like, why will you take Mihawk statements literally and not take Vista statements literally? They are both said by Oda. You cannot provide nuance to only one character and ignore it for every single other character. Versus if you are a Shanks fan, on the other hand, or a fan of any other character, Roger or anything like that, you are providing nuance to the entire story. And that's why you could still see that Mihawk holds the title as the world's strongest swordsman, but still consider that, hey, there may be some characters who hold a sword that can still defeat Mihawk. Because, as a matter of fact, Mihawk holds the title without ever defeating Shanks on paper. Exactly. So, I mean, the story writes itself, right?
Yeah. And just to add to that, bro, I also think, like, my biggest thing with Mihawk is, and I'm not going to try to get you Mihawk fans riled up, is narratively, what I think a lot of people just forget is Mihawk is often, even though he's talked about of his great superior swordsmanship, he is often portrayed in these weaker camps when he's actually making moves and doing stuff story-wise. So we don't have to spend too much on that. We'll put Mihawk there. I can see why his swordsmanship is better than Saint Ethan's, and of course, we would assume that he has the skills to hang with a Saint Ethan and the hockey, so not worried about that. Okay, so now, Rob, we're getting to the 7 or the 8. I don't know what number it is, but the third in the second row here after Mihawk.
8.
Are we saying another Gorosei now?
I think at this stage,
because I'm looking at all who's left.
Yeah.
And unless we're going to say Admirals or we're going to say like a Garp, which I'm not too crazy mad at, I could see Saint Ethan going here. Because if we talk about the Marines, you know, it's like, are we really going to sit here and say that the Gorosei can't defeat any of these people that they hired?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like put another Gorosei member here is not too crazy either.
Right now, I'm thinking, we have Saint Ethan, we have Saint Mars, Saint Saturn, and Saint Jupiter. So right now, I think Saint Ethan can respectfully go here. Yeah, and then I think now it's a conversation of
the bottom 3 here.
Yeah, which it also kind of gets tough for me because, I think Luffy's performance against Saturn, that bad considering he turns Kizaru and Saturn into discs and frisbees and was just tossing them around.
I mean, shoot, Kuma put him through.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm not mad at a Garp though. Going next, what do you think?
Over Luffy?
That's a tough conversation.
I think Luffy is in the top 10. I'm just trying to figure out because the Akainu fans right now are fuming watching this video.
Right.
I know it.
I mean, you know how I've been felt.
I know how you feel.
Been felt about Akainu. I always thought that he was either going to be Sabo's lunch or Luffy's lunch. So,
yes. Yeah.
I'm cool with Luffy, bro. I mean, not really much explanation needed here. At this point, he's the only one that's actively, for the first time, seeing Gorosei members and not getting clapped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at Luffy here. I guess now the question is, do we still have anybody else that's not a Gorosei member not in the top 10 here is the question. Because I'm not mad at like a Garp going here. And I wouldn't really be mad at an Akainu going here narratively. Do we still have Saturn above them just off of straight regeneration?
The thing with me is, I think narratively, we should probably pick Akainu. On-screen feats, the hockey is just, we don't know exactly where it is. The only thing we can try to draw something from is say that we saw Kuzan and Garp fight, and we've seen Kuzan's hockey abilities.
Right.
And we know that Akainu beat Kuzan after 10 days.
Should be a little bit above.
So it's got to be slightly above Kuzan, at minimum. Slightly above Kuzan. I don't know if slightly above Kuzan means that you're smoking, St. Mars.
And again, we're not necessarily saying that these characters have the answer to completely killing a Gorosei member, because we don't know if Eam is the only one with that answer. It's a matter of, will they survive a good battle or will they at least overpower them? And if I want to say Akainu can do that, I think it's okay to put Akainu.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
So now I guess we can go. Do you feel Garp is next? I could put Garp next over a Gorosei.
Yeah, Mars. Well, Mars, I think, is next in line for the Gorosei at least.
Yeah.
I know Mars has Conqueror's Haki. He used I don't remember if it was like a hockey beam or something. Like he had like some type of energy power, like
Mars
a Kamehameha.
Is the dragon one, right?
Yeah.
I still think that, again, when he still came into play, nobody critically was hurt. Nobody died. Nobody was like, oh my God, we don't know what we're gonna do. We have to be saved here.
Yeah. He was just talking crazy to Rob Lucci. He was like, yo, you're insignificant. And Rob Lucci was like, Waking Devil Fruit. Like, Rob Lucci wasn't that bad, Yeah. But again, I think Garp would also pack up Rob Lucci. So
yeah, I think Garp is fine there.
Yeah. So we could go Garp, and then I'll probably say Mars.
I'm not mad at Mars. And then also now, though, Sengoku is retired, and I feel like that does matter a little bit.
And that's what I'm thinking.
His mentality is very much...
That's where I was going to go.
Y'all got it.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go.
You feel me?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go.
So, I could put Mars. I could put Mars.
Okay. Mars. Then I'm agreeing with Sengoku. And then here, I would probably put...
a Big Mom? You would have a Big Mom over Jupiter still and Saturn?
I would...
Based on what we're saying.
And that's the thing. I think Big Mom has a pretty solid handle. Her Conquerors is a little shaky. I think she had something where, she had the Conqueror's Haki scream during the wedding, but Warcry showed that, that was child's play in comparison. I think Big Mom, considering that she did hold her own against an Awakened Law and an Awakened Captain Kid, is very, very impressive. I mean, those are two pirate captains that hold bounties of 3 bill. So I think at this stage in the game, I'm cool with throwing in Big Mom.
Yeah,
I'm cool.
I'm not mad at that. I know there's still a lot of debates still that people have Kuzan over her, and that's still not crazy to me. I can see Kuzan having that, but also my biggest thing with Kuzan is I don't think your hockey would ultimately triumph Big Mom's, especially with her durability. because we know she can handle a lot more than she's really almost right under Gorosei level in terms of durability.
Yeah.
So I could put her there as well.
And now,
now it's a matter of, are we saying Saturn and Jupiter are over Kuzan and Kizaru strength-wise? Because now it's close enough to where we could say, okay, well, yeah, we know the regeneration and the durability is there, but strength-wise, are they over Saturn and Jupiter? Who we see, I guess.
Well, you know what's funny about this is there were people that said that Kuma shouldn't have been able to knock Saturn back, but when Akainu wasn't able to take out half-dead Kuma.
So does Kuma need to be on this?
No. I'm not saying Kuma needs to be on this list. Yeah. Hell nah. What I'm saying is certain characters are granted more favor in the community than others. So I just definitely think that's interesting. Now, when I'm thinking of Kuzan, right? The fact that he fought Akainu for 10 days, I feel like it would be disingenuous to put him more than 5 spots below Akainu at this stage in the game. I do think Akainu has pulled away since he beat Kuzan. I think Akainu got stronger.
And we're assuming too.
Yeah.
That he pulled away by a lot more.
Right. We're assuming because he's Fleet Admiral.
Right.
So we're assuming that he did pull away. If he didn't, oh my goodness, it would be very bad. It would be very, very bad. Akainu fans would be sick. Yeah. But well, I'm assuming he pulled away at this point. So I'm comfortable.
I'm not mad at that too. I'm not mad at Kuzan. I'm trying to remember, did Saturn have conquerors? Did he show?
Saturn, yes. Saturn has conquerors.
Okay.
All the Gorosei have conquerors.
Okay. Akainu, I think that if we're giving Akainu the right amount of buff, it would make sense. Because we kind of saw how much stronger Kuzan was when he fought up against Garp. And so I'm kind of like, sure, you could still hang with some really heavy hockey users. Does that mean that Saturn, is really worried about you for real? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, if you turning on Saturn, is he pressed? Maybe he's more pressed about Akainu. Of course, we know the Gorosei aren't pressed about any Marines. But is he more pressed about, like, you? Or does he look at you just like a Kizaru? Where he's like, Kizaru, clean this up. Wrap this up.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of why I still feel like Saturn might be above. So, I think we should put Saturn.
Okay.
I think that makes a little more sense, too.
All right. So, we can put Saturn there. And
I
then
say Kuzan's fine next if you want.
Okay.
I don't know what we're going to say about Mars here. I'm not mad at Mars being... is it moving?
You mean Jupiter?
Jupiter, my bad. I'm not mad at Jupiter.
I think
should still be the under him because of what we've been seeing with Luffy and et cetera, et cetera.
Jupiter, the reason why people sleep on him is offensively, it just looked like he had nothing in his bag besides, the vacuum ability, which I mean, it was strong because, and I don't want people to forget that, it was pulling in giants.
I think the Giants are strong, honestly. I probably would have even talked about Dorian Bragi, just not maybe being on the list, but being close to some characters that we were talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at putting him here. Again, people will say that Kizaru had Luffy on the ropes, really. He didn't try, right? One time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? The Admiral fans would have Kizaru right next to Luffy. I think based on the fact that Luffy fought Rob Lucci right before he fought Kizaru is like all I really need to see. I mean, Luffy was fighting Rob Lucci, then the Seraphim were crashing out. Like, there's all this stuff is going all over the place, and then he eventually gets to Kizaru. So that's where I'm at, where I can agree that Kizaru was most likely the person that fed Luffy, but I don't think Kizaru went into that fight saying, you know what, I'm gonna fight you with one arm behind my back. Like, I don't think he had that luxury.
Yeah. I'll go Jupiter off the strength of, for Kizaru, this being Kizaru's like really main hardest fight that we've seen. I still think that it wasn't as overwhelming or like, as a benefit to him than before we saw him fight. Before we saw this fight, we still had very much greater speculations about Kizaru. even maybe being above Kuzan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now after this, we all kind of like, okay, we can agree Kizaru is probably the weaker of the trio. So I'm not mad at Jupiter, and then I'm not mad at Kizaru next. And then really, I mean, it's kind of already laid out. Except you know what? I might have Sabo over Fuji.
And this is the tough part.
And this
is the tough part, because I was thinking the same exact thing. But
everybody gonna say it's Fuji again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that agenda's there, but the only reason why I would ever say this is I think that Sabo, again, in Dressrosa at that time, comparable to Luffy, at least on the hockey side of things, and he just got that devil fruit that day. Fujitori's had his devil fruit since how long?
Right.
Sabo just got the fruit that day and was boxing Fuji. And the thing is that the Fujitora fans are sitting there, Fujitora wasn't trying.
Right. Hold
and you
back.
know that's coming. He'll hold back. You know what it is already. So no matter what Sabo did at Dressrosa, the Fujitora fans are not going to let it slide. They're just going to say Fujitora wasn't trying. I think Sabo can definitely be above Fujitora. The only thing I say that makes Fujitora a little scary is that his devil fruit is kind of one of those ones where it's like,
if I wanted to go full power, but it might be clipped for most. But that's what I always allude to. But
that's the thing. But that's the thing, though, right? If we go with that statement, exactly what you just said, then it would validate every single Fujitora is not trying. And that's why I'm like, all right, is this a not trying scenario? Or is this a case of maybe we should wait for the admirals to have an awakening, if that's even a possibility?
Yeah.
Because imagine Fujitora with an awakening. I think that would be something where it's like, whoa. But I don't know if they even have something like that. And I also believe it's the same for Sabo. If Sabo has the ability to awaken his devil fruit, I feel like it would be whoa. So again, I think this is more of a hockey scenario.
Well, I'm also in the camp of like, when it comes to Fujitora specifically, because I can see how other people can make better arguments for Kuzan and Kizaru, but when it comes to Fujitora specifically, it's kind of like when you compare Megami and Maharaga, right? Yes, Megami by himself with all his stats in the anime isn't the craziest sorcerer. But all of a sudden, if he pushes the red button on Maharaga, he's top 2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of the same thing with Fuji. If he just decides to push the red button and drop meteors on every island around him, then yes. But that to me doesn't necessarily make you stronger than another character. And then again, Mary Joie. You had help, yet Sabo got out of there. And again, of course, you were not necessarily going for the whole slave trade. But I'm not mad at the Kizaru, Sabo, Fujitora, bro.
Yeah. Let's run it.
Let's lock that in, man. Let's lock that in, man. And, man, this is quite a list. I think, as I relook at it, definitely more accurate. I'm sure we're finna get grilled in the comments at any moment.
Listen, I already expect Mihawk fans, Zoro fans, definitely some Admiral fans in there to definitely go crazy.
Admiral fans are coming crazy.
Yeah, and I'm cool with all of that, because I think a lot of this list, like we said, has to take narrative into account.
It does.
If you take on-screen feats, this entire list would look totally different than it does now. But I think only taking stuff that has happened on screen, and ignoring narrative, ignoring statements and certain things would be disingenuous to the One Piece story itself, and ignoring nuance itself, which is why we have Shanks over Mihawk and all these other things. So I think there's a lot that goes into account. But if we go just what happened on screen only, then Dragon shouldn't even be Dragon should be weaker than Chopper if we just go only on screen. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like you have to take narrative into account here.
And I'll say it, as my final statement. I've said it once before and said it again. Everybody can fight anybody in One Piece for some type of situation. There's many possibilities that we've seen where characters who are not even close to the full strength have gotten to fights with characters 10 times strong with them, have left a little damage, have made it out unscathed, and that's why it's very important to add the narrative point of view towards ranking One Piece characters. But yeah, y'all, we appreciate y'all tuning in to the fixed top 20 strongest alive. Shout out them boys at that One Piece Talk for having us on that stream. And yeah, man, we'll see y'all next Sunday.
Peace.
Peace.